Jiva Vegam, the urge of the tongue. Udar Upashta means the belly and the genitals. So these are the 6 urges. Vacho Vegam, Manaso Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Upashta Vegam, Etan Vegam Yo, Jiva, Etan Vegam Yo. Wow, I see, this is my karma, I get it, now I'm forgetting it. Etan Vegam Yo, Vishaheta Dira, Sarvam Apimam Pritivim Sashishyat. But I think I have one word in there wrong. One who can control these 6 urges, they can become the guru of the whole world. The idea is that if you can control your own senses, then if you can be a master of your own self, then you're fit to be a master of many. So it is not an easy thing, but if you are so, you have such qualification, then you are fit to instruct the world. And then the second verse, these beginning verses, they're also mentioned in this song, O He Vaishnava Thakur, right? It mentions there in this prayer to the Vaishnava, please subjugate the 6 urges, help me to become free of the 6 unfavorable qualities, bestow upon me the 6 favorable qualities, and the 6 kinds of exchanges, loving association. This is mentioned in that song. So then the second verse, the 6 unfavorable qualities which will hamper our cultivation of devotion. Atyahar prayashascha pajalpa niyamagraha jana sangascha lalyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashati. Vinashati means destroy. So what are these 6 things that will destroy our cultivation of devotion? Atyahara means to collect too much of anything, to hoard too much of anything, whether it's food or money or various items, clothes or whatever. It can even mean, in a subtle sense, knowledge, to collect too much knowledge of some type. This like storing and holding mentality. This is detrimental. Atyahar prayashas is referring to an endeavoring, and it means over-endeavoring for some very insignificant thing, very useless thing of this world, to put too much energy trying to get that. Sometimes we get these obsessions within our mind, especially if you're on the internet, you can get, before you know, you spend 2 hours searching for some really insignificant thing. I'm guilty. It's so easy to get lost. You just think, oh, just a 5-minute Google search, and before you know it, you spent your whole afternoon and you couldn't find it anyway, And in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary, he also applies that to within our service life, not just like obviously material things, but also in our service life, to be like particularly fixed on some particular plan or idea, and to be like trying and pushing very hard to do that, even though it's not the desire of the higher. So he also counts that as like over-endeavoring. And then prajalpa, the word prajalpa, right? Materialistic discussion, or also ramya katha, village talks, gossip, talking about useless materialistic things. Then niyamagraha, this has a double meaning. It means to be too attached to rules and regulations, to be like overly attached to them, or to be too loose about them, to be too strict or not strict enough in observing these. The idea is that we have to understand the purpose of the rules and follow them, according to how much they are actually promoting the cause of devotion. But if in a particular instance a rule is actually hampering the flow of devotion, then we need to be a little slack on that. The rule in and of itself is not the point, right? It's the spirit behind that. We have to develop some appreciation, some maturity. And then jana sangas means bad association, worldly association. So these 6 things, we have to give them up. They will all be detrimental to our practice of devotion. And then the 3rd verse, the 6 favorable qualities, utsaham means enthusiasm, nishchayat means conviction, firm faith, confidence, all of these things. Dharjat means patience, determination, perseverance on the path. Tat tat karma pravartanat is referring to all of the various activities, practices that are prescribed to us. All of the good things that are recommended to us to do, all the things that we do. Chanting our japa, going to arti, and waking up early, and of course the main thing, service to Guru Vaishnava. Sangotyagat, to give up bad association. Satovrite, to follow the sadhus, to follow in the footsteps of the sadhus. So these are the 6 things, 6 favorable things. And then the 4th verse is the 6 loving exchanges, describing, and this is really describing the type of exchanges that are common amongst any loved ones in any sphere of life, or anyone of some close acquaintance in the world, in whatever plane of life. It doesn't just mean within devotees. This verse is describing the types of, like a loving way to exchange with somebody. And so the idea is that we want to confine that amongst those who are on the same path as us. We don't want to engage in too much intimate exchange with persons who are following a different ideal in life, because if we do that, then we will be implicated in what consciousness they have. Some of that must be transferred to us, and that will hamper our own progress. So dadati, pratigranati, guyama kyati, prichati, bhunkte bhajayate chaiva, shadvidham pratilakshanam. To share our heart with another Vaishnava, to reveal our minds, like in confidence to a Vaishnava, and then also to inquire from them and to hear from them. This type of intimate exchange of heart and feeling. These are the first 2. And then the next 2 are to give gifts and to receive gifts. To give and to receive. And then the last 2, giving and receiving of prasadam. To feed and to be fed. And then the next verse is, I think it's the Krishneti Yasya. Yes, and then the next one, Krishneti Yasya, or maybe it's, no, I think it's that one, Krishneti Yasya Girita Mana Sadriyeta Dikshashti Chet Penati Bishcha Bhajantam Isham Shushushaya Bhajana Vigam Ananyam Anya Nindadi Shunya Hridam Ipsita Sangha Labja. This is describing different levels of Vaishnavas, Kanishta, first level, Madhya, middle level, and Uttam, Adhikar, highest level Vaishnava, and how we should, how there will be some differentiation in how we offer respect to them. So it mentions the first level, one who has just once taken the name of Krishna, we should mentally respect them. And Srila Saraswati Thakur, in his rendering of this, his Bengali translation of this verse, he rendered it as one who has taken initiation, one who has begun on the path. That's how he renders that. So we will mentally respect them. We may not show them so much formal respect, but in our heart, in our mind, and in our dealings, we will express respect for them. And then one who has, then in Rupa Goswami's verse, Upadeśāmṛta, then the next he mentions one who has formally taken initiation and are seriously engaged in the such a Vaishnava, we should show them some outer respect, some formal. We will show them a higher degree of respect. We will offer our obeisance to them. And in Saraswati Thakur's translation, he renders that as one who is more seriously engaged. They're more consciously cultivating the ideal, as opposed to someone who's just received initiation in their beginning, but their understanding is not very developed. So Saraswati Thakur renders the second level as one who is more deeply engaged in service life and more deeply cultivating this ideal. So to such a Vaishnava, we will formally show more respect to them, more regard for them, offer our obeisance to them. And then the Uttam Adhikar Vaishnava, Rupa Goswami, he describes the highest level Vaishnava as one who has no tendency in their heart to criticize others. This is described as one of their primary characteristics. They're wholesale devoted to the Lord, worshipping the Lord wholeheartedly, and no tendency to criticize, to find fault in others. And what is recommended in our approach to such a Vaishnava? We will surrender to them. We will serve them in thought, in word, in deed, and we will always try to get their association, get the company of such a Vaishnava. So that is the 5th verse, and then the 6th verse is like a warning how we will see other Vaishnavas. We will not look at their material defects, because they may have some materialistic faults, in their body, also within their nature. Like a Vaishnava may come from a very low-born background. Maybe they have some rough habits or rough manners. They may have some what we would normally say is like bad habits, or may apparently seem to be bad character, or so on and so forth. But we should look past that. Or they may also physically have some defects. But we should not consider that, because they may not be so intelligent, things like that. Or they may be a little awkward, or that type of thing, But we should not. We should overlook that and appreciate the spiritual characteristic, because the spiritual characteristic exists independent of the material plane. So that verse, Rupa Goswami gives the example of the Ganges, that the Ganges river, if you go, you've been to India, you've seen how it can look very dirty, and it mentions there's bubbles and foam and mud, and we also see garbage and all kinds of things in the Ganges. But those with some spiritual understanding, they look past that. They can recognize the spiritual purity that is there, despite some we will go and we will take that water on our head, right? Despite the apparent impurities. Because the impurities that are there, they're not affecting the spiritual aspect. They're two separate things. So this is the example Rupa Goswami gives for the seeing these defects in a Vaishnava. Jishte swabhava janiter vapushascha dosher na prakita tvam iha bhakta janasya pashet gangamba samna kalu budbuna fena pankir brahma javatvam apagachati nira dharmai. That is the 6th verse. And then the 7th verse, very wonderful verse. You know this verse. Maybe you don't know the verse, but you've heard the analogy. This is Rupa Goswami's analogy he gives of our approach to chanting the holy name at present. That he gives this analogy of this disease, jaundice, and it's a disease of the liver that causes you to taste sweet as bitter. You can take I've never had it, but we've heard others who have had it. You can take some very sweet, sugary drink and spit it out. Tastes like something completely bitter to you. But there's one Ayurvedic cure for this disease is, guess what? rock candy, sugar. It's supposed to like stimulate the bile and then, help the flow, and then it becomes cured in that way, something like that. So this is one Ayurvedic cure for this disease. Causes you to taste sugar as bitter, but the cure is sugar. And so in the beginning, when you're taking this medicine of sugar, it's tasting bitter to you. But as you continue to take it, it's curing your disease. And to the extent that your disease is cured, to that extent you will begin to taste that bitter as sweet. So this is just a brilliant analogy of Śrīla Rupa Goswami, because we're in that same situation in connection with the holy name. We have a disease. The disease is called hridrogam, heart disease, material attachment. And this, although there's so much sweetness in the name, we're not tasting that. We're tasting, when we take the name, we're tasting something bitter. But what is the cure for that? Keep taking the holy name. That very thing that is tasting bitter to you at present, that is the cure. As we continue to chant with faith, so the name will begin to bestow His mercy upon us and reveal Himself to us. And as that happens, we will slowly, more and more, begin to taste the sweetness of the name. So, a very encouraging verse. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pitopataptada Sanasyana Ruchikanu Kintadarad Anunidam Kalu Shaiva Jushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadgada Mulahanchi. That is the 7th verse. And then the 8th verse, I cannot remember the 8th verse. Krishna Nama Charit, no, I don't remember. But it's saying, it is giving this advice that as we enter into it is like, see, the first 7 verses, they are like for our level instruction. And then the 8th, 8 to 11, they're like higher level. They're not so applicable to us. It's like madhyam stage. But they're useful in like establishing what is the ideal. So this 8th verse, it's madhyamadhikar instruction, like giving instruction to take shelter of a raga nuga bhakta in Vrindavan, and to enter into the gradual process of connecting with the Nam, Rup, Gun, and Lila of the Lord. Like this, this for me, it is, very esoteric and not so, applicable for me at my present stage. And then the 9th verse. This verse is a very helpful verse in that it gives some, like in a systematic way, it gives some, what can we say? It's rasa vichar. Some analysis on the basis of rasa. And ultimately showing us why is the Krishna conception of divinity the highest. So Vaikunta Janito Vada Madhupuri Rasotsavad Vrinda Vanya Mudara Pani Ramana Tatrapi Govardhana Radha Kundami Hapi Gogulapate Prema Mripta Plavanat Koryad Asya Virajato Giritate Sevam Viveki Nakha is explaining, like in a scientific way, why Vrindavan is the highest place. That first of all, Mathura is higher than Vaikunta. Why? Because in Vaikunta, Narayan, he's just eternally existent. There is no Janma Leela. This is mentioned at the beginning of this verse. There is no Janma Leela, means no birth, no pastimes of birth. He's just there. So normally you will think, oh, then this is a lower conception of divinity. If God has a mother and a father, he can't really be God, right? But according to the consideration of rasa, love, heart, feeling, taste, according to that consideration, which is the final consideration, the highest consideration, it's actually a lower level, because that God will not have parents. That means that's more primary conception of God, because the rasa is not so developed there. It's undeveloped rasa. There's a restriction on the degree of loving exchange that can be had. So Narayan, he has no mother, he has no father, he has no janma lila. So this is the rasa is not so developed here. Rasa is weak. Therefore, Mathura is where Krishna took birth, right? Appearing to Devaki and Vasudeva. So therefore, Mathura is described as being superior to Vaikuntha. And then Vrindavan is described as higher than Mathura. Why? Because there the Rasa Lila took place, with the Krishna, with the Braja Gopi. So, more intense, this is Madhura Ras, full-blown Madhura Ras expression in Vrindavan. So therefore Vrindavan is higher than Mathura. And then it goes on, Govardhan is higher than Vrindavan, because more exclusive, more intimate pastimes took place there. And then within Govardhan, what is the highest place? That is Radha Kund. This is the zenith point. This is the highest point in the spiritual sky. So, on the basis of rasa, in this step-by-step way, Srila Rupa Goswami is presenting, ultimately Radha Kund within the Krishna conception of divinity. That place is the highest. So that's where we are. It's the first 9 verses in a nutshell. And so we've been going through these wonderful commentaries of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and I would like to, Tyagi Maharaj has collected a lot of content here. I'm just going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna... Oh, hang on. Oh, what happened? Okay, I'm gonna continue here, but I can't remember exactly where we were. It's so long, this section. Well, okay, I'll just read a little bit here. So in line with this idea of gradation, right? Moving through different planes in a step-by-step way to higher and higher levels. Tyagi Maharaj has included this talk where Srila Sridhar Maharaj is talking about this, ontological development. And he's speaking here of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You're familiar with Brihad Bhagavatamrita, you're a little bit. Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It's describing, it's work by Sanatana Goswami, describing the journey of one cowherd boy in Vrindavan, Gopa Kumar, how he receives a mantra from his guru, Gopal mantra, I think. And anyhow, Krishna and Vrindavan, that type of mantra pertaining to that. But I think it's Gopal. And he doesn't know very much, And this is not in the time of Krishna's appearance on earth. This is, thousands of years later. But he doesn't know very much, but he receives this mantra, and chanting this mantra, he gradually comes in connection with higher and higher planes of existence. He goes through systematically all the different planes within the material world. He attains the post of Lord Indra, then he attains the post of Lord Brahma. But through this chanting of his mantra, he's never satisfied, because this mantra has its own will and wants to take him to its own destination, which is ultimately Vrindavan. And so he always reaches some plane, stays there some time, and then he becomes dissatisfied. And in this way he goes through higher and higher levels. He eventually goes through all the planes in the material zone. Then he reaches Shiva Loka, he reaches Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, Mathura, Dwarka, and finally Vrindavan. So it's very helpful in showing like the gradation within so many different planes of existence. And so here Param Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, is discussing this a little bit. So this is part of the commentary that's been collected for this 9th verse. Jai Shri Gurudev. What is the conception of Krishna? How are other gods connected to him? What is the position of this world, of other planes? How are they all adjusted together? Knowledge of the proper adjustment of all these things within the universe, both divine and mundane, is called Sambandha Gyan. Srila Sanatana Goswami is said to be the authority in this department. He has come to give us this sort of understanding. Our Sambandha Gyan comes mainly from him. What is what? Which is which? What thought is to be placed where? With a proper conception, we can have a general idea of the whole system of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Srila Sanatana Goswami has given this structure in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. In an elaborate manner, he has given the gradation: Bhu, Bhuva, Swa, Maha, Jana, Tapa, and Satya Loka. So these are the 7, you're familiar with these 7 planes within the material abode. These are the 7 upper of the 14 planetary systems. Every like material Brahmanda, or I don't know what the proper word is. Universe is not really adequate, but every individual material manifestation, it has these 14 planes, right? The 7 upper and the 7 lower. 7 lower are hellish, and then there's the middle where we are, and then there's the 6 above us, which are more heavenly and subtle. So in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami is elaborately, discussing and describing these 7 upper planes. Then Viraja, and Brahmaloka. This is like the buffer zone between the material and the spiritual. Viraja, or the causal ocean, and from which the whole material manifestation first comes. And then Brahmaloka, the Brahman, right? The non-differentiated plane of spirit. So this is the buffer to the spiritual, and the buffer Viraja river, the buffer to the material. So these are the 2 buffer zones. And then once you reach the positive, the eternal side, then Shiva Loka, Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan, Govardhan, and Radha Kund. Here we find a comparative study of the hierarchy of the ontological world. The whole philosophy of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas is depicted here. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Srila Sanatana Goswami has shown in this gradation how the practitioner, sadhaka, is taken to a particular place, lives there for some time, finds dissatisfaction, is again given some connection, and then taken to an upper layer. There, after some time, they again feel dissatisfaction. Some arrangement is made, some higher connection reaches them, and they are taken to a higher plane. And all of these higher planes, they're also waiting for us. And according to our hunger and our sincerity and our necessity for connection with the higher plane of reality, that will be revealed to us. Truth is revealed to us according to our hunger for it and our necessity for it. And there's infinite planes. there is no limits. In this way, they are gradually taken up to Vrindavan through different positions. Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, and Dwarka, and then Vrindavan. They progress through Satya Loka, Shiva Loka, and Vaikuntha Loka. The life of Gopakumar begins in a lower plane and gradually goes up to show the importance of the different planes. The name Gopakumar hints at his innermost tendency, because Gopa means cowherd boy. So the fact that he's Gopakumar indicates he belongs in Vrindavan. That is his real swarup, his real intrinsic nature. So Sanatana Goswami gave him the name Gopakumar to indicate that his innate nature is that of a Gopa, cowherd boy of Braja. If one's innate nature is that of a Vaikuntha Vasi, a servant of Narayan, then one will go to Vaikuntha and remain satisfied there forever. There are things that we cannot see with our eyes, but that we can see with an X-ray. With subtle vision, the soul's inner nature can be seen. Is he a unit of Goloka and a unit also of what group? In Goloka, but in Sakya Ras, in Madhura Ras. Seeing his innate nature with X-ray vision, Sanatana Goswami has given him the name Gopakumar. If our inner self by construction is meant for Braja, then our progress will be like Gopakumar's. Until we reach that realization, we cannot feel any satisfaction anywhere. And that is where our Gurudev wants to take us. I'm going to stop there because I know everyone's had a long day and we've discussed a lot, I think. I don't want to have information overload. But we've been going, it's been, I think, a few weeks now we've been going through this, and it's been very wonderful. Very important instructions in this book for us all. Okay. Then, who will sing? Whose turn? It's your turn, Mahashri, right? Sing Hari Haraya Nama Krishna.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudana. Hari Hari Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Radha Radha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Short chai, short chai. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajaka Charya Varya Ashtotar Satashi Śrīla Bhakti Sundara Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Śrīla Bhakti Akshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Śrī Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Saparshad Shima Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Śrī Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Śrī Gangaj Muni Ki Jai. Śrī Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Śrī Radha Krishna Shama Radha Gita Govardhan Ki Jai. Śrī Chaitanya Saraswat Ki Jai. Vishwavyapi Tadi Shakamat Ki Jai. Śrī Chaitanya Saraswat London Chapter Ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Śrīla Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai. Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Seva Vrinda Ki Jai. Śrī Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. How is this working? It's like working in some subtle way.
Internet.
This is streaming from the camera.
Yeah. Well, not that little box which is on a white table. That's the thing which is connected to the camera. So all the signal from the camera goes to that box.
So it's still recording.